If everybody knows what Whittaker-Bermite is, that'd be really good, but a lot of people don't in this area. Whittaker-Bermite is 996 acres in the middle of Santa Clarita. This slide here shows the property, which Soledad Canyon is on the north at the top of the slide. Golden Valley's on the east, which is on the right-hand side of the slide. Railroad Avenue's on the west, and basically Circle J is at the bottom of and the south side. Circle J and Newhall are the south side of the property. The property is contaminated by the Whittaker-Bermite and various industries that have been there since the 30s. They closed down in the mid-80s. There were ammunition, fireworks, and various other explosive manufacturing gone on up there. And the Whittaker Company is the one that's in charge of the cleanup. There cannot be any development on this property, which is beautiful, beautiful property up there. There can't be any cleanup on it or any development until the cleanup is done. Right now, the cleanup is scheduled to be done in 2016. That's when the Department of Toxic Substance Control, is pushing Whittaker to get the cleanup done. There hasn't been a lot of activity up on the property. They've cleaned up one area, which would be right along Golden Valley there, and it was called, the property is divided into 6 operating units, and the OU1, which is the first operating unit, is right along Golden Valley Road. It has been cleaned up, but it hasn't been certified clean yet because they're going to use part of that property for the rest of the cleanup to take care of the dirt that's coming from other areas. Our meeting was held last Wednesday. The CAG, the Citizens Advisory Group, we meet at the Methodist Church in Bouquet Canyon. And we hold meetings, this year we will hold 3 meetings. The last meeting will be on November 6th. We hold the meetings in conjunction with when the city holds what they call a multi-jurisdictional meeting. The multi-jurisdictional meeting is a council subcommittee meeting where all the players in this project all get together and give their reports and updates on what's going on with the property, because the city's very anxious to get this property. As on this slide here, there's the proposed roadways that the city wants to put through this property. According to the master plan, the One Valley, One Vision, these are the roads that they want completed, but they won't be allowed to build them until this property is totally cleaned up. They did put Golden Valley through with some eminent domain. They took a little of the property away. It cost the city quite a few dollars, about $23 million, I believe it is, because the property owners filed suit against the city lost. And anyway, it cost all of us $23 million. So anyway, the rest of the roads cannot be built until this property is cleaned up. The city hopes to partner with the developer to get the property developed as soon as it's cleaned up, but it seems like it's taking forever. Like I've been involved with this now for 3 or 4 years. They were saying 3 to 6 years 3 or 4 years ago. Now they're saying 2016 it will be done. Anyway, the multi-jurisdictional meeting, which is it's a council subcommittee. Frank Ferry and Bob Keller are on the subcommittee, and we meet in City Hall in the Century Room at 3:30 in the afternoon. And the reason we hold the CAG meetings is so that people that work during the day can come and get the information in the evening. So anyway, so the meeting was held at like I say, 3:30. Neither council member bothered to show. I wish they'd show a little more interest. If they'd show some more interest in this and a little more pressure on the people that are cleaning it up, hopefully we can get this done a lot faster. Right now, Jose Diaz, who's the project manager for the California State Department of Toxic Substance Control, he reported the permits are still being sought from various agencies. He told us that the OU5, which is the area, if you're driving on Soledad and it's just west of the Metrolink station, is the entrance to Whittaker-Bermite. That area from the entrance to the first ridge line is called Operating Unit 5. That will be the first area that they're going to do dirt cleaning, and that should happen by the end of the year. They're still got to get permits from the planning, the city planning department, and just the city environmental services to get the permits for the cleaning and the grading. He also reported that OU7, which is the 7th operating unit, which represents all the groundwater and the deep soils, the remedial action plan's about 30% done. Permits are being sought from the Regional Water Quality Control Board for when they start cleaning all the groundwater to try to get rid of some of the perchlorates that it's already, to hopefully stop the plume that's coming off of the property. They need the permits from the Regional Water Quality Control Board because the clean water, once they clean it up, will probably be discharged into our river. And then so everybody asked about chloride going into that, and he says there's little to no chloride in that water after it's cleaned because there's really no chloride in that groundwater. There's just the perchlorates. He says beginning 2014, OE7 remedial action plan should be released. Last April, a year-long search was started for, year-long search for unexploded ordnances was completed. April 15th, they collected all the ordnance and components that they found in the property and compiled them all in an area they call Burn Valley, which is a big, deep canyon up there. And they exploded to get rid of all the ordinances that they had. But he also stated that they've found some other areas that they're not satisfied with, so they're going back through to look for some more unexploded ordinances. They didn't find any like bombs or ammunition, things like that. Mainly it was components that they had found. And anything that looked like it belonged to ammunitions or munitions or anything, they collected it all, just threw it in a pile with fire permits and sheriff's permits and all that kind of good stuff. They put it all up there, and they did notify the neighborhood around there, and they exploded it in, I think it was April 15th that the explosion happened. But like I say, there's some areas that they want to go deeper and look for some more, so they're still looking for the unexploded ordinances. Later on in the multi-jurisdictional meeting, a gentleman, Hussan Amini, who represents Whittaker Company. He's the head hydrologist for the project, and he's the voice for the Whittaker. He stated that the design documents for OU2 through OU6 are receiving the final touches. OU5 plans going to the city for approval by late July and early August, and they should be starting the cutting of the soils by the end of the year. They're doing soil vapor extraction on the property, which they're pulling VOCs, volatile organic compounds and things out of the soil. They have 2 units on the property so far, 2 wells and 2 units that they're doing the soil vapor extraction. The plan is to put 10 more on the property. But the problem is when Whittaker pulled off of the property, Edison pulled all the power out of the area. So now the big deal is they have to put power back onto the property, so they've had to go and have a new power system designed, and it's been submitted to Edison now for approval so that they can get power back to the property. As soon as they get the power back, then they're going to bring the specially made soil vapor extraction units for each area and have them installed. They're not bringing them up until they actually have power before they can do it. The question was asked, well, how long is that going to take? And they said, well, it should be done by the end of the fourth quarter of this year or the first quarter of next year. If you've noticed, it's kind of hard to see, there's a small water treatment plant just east of the Metrolink station. And the statement was made, the groundwater level in that area has dropped so significantly, so right now they're only treating 7 gallons a minute, pulling the water out of on that treatment plant. Then one of the members of the Castaic Lake Water Agency spoke, and he stated that they're treating the water over by Lowe's at the treatment plant over there. They're treating between 2.5 and 3 million gallons of water a day. Said that the groundwater continues to be inundated with air, he says, which is causing issues with the resin and the process of the cleanup, and it's causing the resin to not last as long as it's supposed to last. So they're having to do more trade-outs of the resin. That's all CLWA basically reported on. Everything's hunky-dory in the Santa Clarita water system, as we all know, which is kind of a joke. But anyway, at our CAG meeting in the evening, Jose Diaz and Zendi Poindexter from the Department of Toxic Substance Control attended our meeting, and we had asked them several questions, or sent him several questions to be answered. And one of the questions we asked was, we had asked for a fence to be installed up behind the area where the new Habitat for Heroes is going to be, the development, because the area up there was actually too steep for any accessibility, and there was no fence line or signs or anything up there. But they're going to put this development with kids and all this in this development, and it backs right up to the Bermite property. They went and checked, and this last year there was a fire up in that area, and a bulldozer went through and graded, making a fire line, made it accessible. So they've ordered a fence to go up there. So a fence is going up on that property, on the property line from the Habitats for Heroes. We asked about the status of depleted uranium, which they took out a couple of years ago. There's still some, and they still haven't signed off on that. A couple years ago, it was kind of done in secret. There was 260 truckloads of dirt taken off of that property, down Soledad Canyon Road to just past Shadow Pines onto the 14 and taken to Utah to dump. It was truckloads of dirt with depleted uranium in them, and it went right through the city. Nobody knew about it. We do now. And so we've been trying to keep an eye on that, ask them the status. Like I say, it's not totally written off yet either. Yes. And if you go to EnviroStore, which if you just put DS or DTSC on your search engine or whatever and pull up, it's their website, and EnviroStore is where all their documents go. And you can pull up all the documents they've had. You just put Whittaker-Bermite in there, Santa Clarita, and you just put that in there. You can pull up all the lists of the stuff. You can pull up maps. It's just like this. Wasn't exploded, no. It was off of like rockets and things like that. They test fired rockets, and they test fired like Stinger missile, that type of thing up in like Burn Valley. And they shot them across, and a lot of that was from, you know, it came off of the casings, that type of thing. They found a bunch. Supposedly there's nothing left, but they still haven't cleared it totally. They want to put a new water treatment plant in, a much larger water treatment plant. Of course, like I said, they need a permit from the Water Quality Control Board, and before they have to get the permits and all before they can even start that. And plus, we asked them about the you know, when you put the affluent into the water, what about the chloride? And like I said, they said there was really little chloride in that water. So they're still waiting on the permits to start that. We asked about this public participation plan, which they have, which is this here, which gives all the outreach and information that they're required to give and how they're going to do it and all that. Well, the one that they have is dated March 31st, 2003. So we asked about that, and they said, well, that plan is generally updated every 10 years, and lo and behold, one of their bosses came to them and said, we need to update the plan. So this Cindy Poindexter is working on that as we speak. Of course, the excuse, not really the excuse she gave, but is just with all the cutbacks in the state and everything else, labor's at a premium, so it's taking a little while, but they are working on this plan, and it should be released soon. They answered our questions, and then we let them go. We still talked about the Santa Clarita water. And as we all know, Saugus Wells 1 and 2, one by Saugus Cafe, the other one's on Magic Mountain Parkway, were closed down for 10 years. Now they're running again, and they're cleaning the water over by Lowe's in their treatment plant over there for perchlorates. The problem is they're not doing anything about VOCs. VOCs are starting to show up. California Department of Public Health has been writing CLWA about reporting some of this. The problem is it's not to the reporting levels that are required by the state. So CLWA is not reporting anything. It's not non-detect, but it's not to the reporting level, so they're not talking about it. The plume, which of the perchlorate, which is the one that shut down the 2 wells first and that opened it up, has spread. There are now 2 wells that have been shut down from the Valencia Water Company. One by City Hall, another one I think it's over by McBean Parkway, 201 and 205. They stopped reporting on some of that stuff because they shut the well down, so they're not saying what's coming in there. I do know, I don't have the exact figures, but I know the perchlorate's been rising in both those wells, and the plume is definitely spreading still, and they really don't have an idea where else it's going. What the CAG voted to do is we're sending a letter to the City Council, sending a letter to CLWA and to the state requesting that they start testing all the wells monthly, because a lot of the wells have been are tested yearly, some are tested quarterly, and like I say, the wells that they shut down, they just don't report on because they say they're not using them. But the plume keeps spreading. They still don't know exactly where it's at. They're still doing testing on that. People do need to be aware of the drinking water in Santa Clarita. They keep, a water quality report was just released, and they said our water quality is fantastic here in Santa Clarita. But we're just, we've got all this stuff in this water. It's not to a not to a reportable point yet, but it's there. And people need to be aware that Santa Clarita water isn't quite as good as everybody says it is, and you need to definitely be aware of it. The chlorate is being taken out of 1 and 2, Saugus 1 and 2. But the VOCs are showing up, and there's not only from Bermite, there's also Saugus Industrial Area, which is a highly contaminated area that it could be coming from that area also. Department of Toxic Substance Control is aware of it. They're working on it, but these things are all taking place, and we need more people to voice their opinion, be educated on this subject, and so we can put some pressure on to get this cleaned up, for one, and for two, to try to get this water problems all under control. So anyway, that's what I have. Like I say, this shows you what Santa Clarita wants to do with roads. They want to put in a Santa Clarita Parkway, which will go from Sierra Highway and Placerita Canyon up to Newhall Ranch Road eventually. They want to extend McBean Parkway, and they want to put Via Princesa all the way from Canyon Country to Newhall, which will be great when it's done, but nothing can be done until this property gets cleaned up. Target date's 2016, and we'll have to wait and see. Our next meeting is November 6th, and we hope we can get some participation and come to our meetings, and so you can become educated about this stuff. Any questions?
Hello, can you hear me? Doug Frazier, you talk about a plume keeps growing. Is it going west or south or all over?
It's basically going west. They have the fault line runs through, the San Gabriel fault line runs through the property. And so most of the plume stops, or most of the groundwater stops at this fault line because there's a difference in the soils. Most of the plume's moving towards the west, but it is clear to McBean and McBean Valencia area, and that's a couple miles, over a couple miles from the property. They have told us before that it's basically a 40-year creep. So it's taken 40 years to get to where it's at. And whenever this property is cleaned up, the water will never be cleaned up, and the water will be a continuing thing. The DTSC is going to require that a bond is put in place and an escrow account is put in place to be able to treat this water for the 40, 50, 60 years to come. So there will be money to treat all the wells and treat the water for as long as it's there, in which they're talking. It's many, many years in the future. Oh, cool. It's the small treatment plant's right about in this area. No, this is all from Whittaker. If you look at the property, do you know where the entrance to the property is, where there's warehouses and that type of thing? Yes. If you're looking at it, it's just to the left. It's way in the back, and it's not very big, but it's only it only treats, like I say, they're only pulling up like 7 gallons a minute right now.
Okay, but you can't see it from the street?
You can if you look really hard. There's some bushes there, and if you're going too fast, you'll miss it, but you can see it back there. Mike, it's not on. You guys, okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. In the real world, when you have a polluted site and you want to clean the water, you start at the source to clean it. In all these years, they haven't started to clean Bermite yet.
No, well, that's the OU7 that they're.
Right, but what they've been doing in the meantime is it's been so bogged down in politics you wouldn't believe it. But what they've been doing in the meantime, they've been putting treatment on the wells way on the outskirts west and drawing the polluted water from Bermite to those wells, and then treat the water and put it in the pipelines. If they'd gone at the source right at the beginning, they probably would have it greatly slowed down. We wouldn't have a plume going out the west. But it wasn't to be because other people are controlling this whole thing and they believe that they know what they're doing.
The reason Whittaker is cleaning it up now is because the property owners went bankrupt. The people still own the property, but they're totally bankrupt. They don't have money. There's no security guard there. You can walk on the property anytime you want to. They used to have a property manager. He used to come to these meetings and things. I don't even think he's there any longer. RFI still owns it, but they're totally bankrupt, and the property right now for them is worthless. But boy, if this all does get cleaned up, they'll have a real heyday when it's developable.
$10 million was paid by their insurance to clean up water. It was controlled by one water agency, and this is what you got.
Well,
none of that money was spent at.
Well, right now, Whittaker's insurance company is AGI. They're the ones paying the money.
That's right.
Their money lasts until 2019.
Right, but the $10 million that was paid into this community to clean that water has been spent all over the place.
It's so political and so complicated, and there's so many players. It's just, makes your head spin. Right now, like I say, they're working on 2016 to have it, and they're getting all the final permits and things done, and hopefully by the end of the year they'll start on OE5, and then get on to OE7 and start cleaning up the deep water and the deep soils. No, it's never been listed as a super site. There's and I can't even tell you what the acronym stands for. It's a RACRA area. There was a couple of small areas there, but there's also, also the Metrolink parking lot's contaminated, and they get to clean that up also. So that's part of the property. Also, they're going to put a barrier right near the property line with Saugus Speedway to try to stop the flow of off of the Metrolink parking lot. But the Metrolink parking lot is also a contaminated area. Of course, so is Saugus Speedway, but Saugus Speedway is contaminated by Saugus Speedway more than it is by Bermite. So anyway, on November 6th, sure like to have some people participate, and so we get more people interested and more people aware in this valley about this, because it's not only just that area, which is, it would make it a lot more convenient if we did have all these roads through, especially Via Princesa across here. But nothing's going to get done until the property, the soils are cleaned, and then that's it.